So as mentioned in a previous video, I sold all the cameras that I had, my cinema camera, my mirrorless camera, my film camera, and I did that all to replace it with this tiny little beast. This is my Fuji XS20. Now I know some people watching this are probably up in arms being like, that's not a cinema camera, that's a photo camera. And you might be right, but you should not overlook the cinematic capabilities of this tiny little camera. Now, this isn't going to be an in-depth technical review of this camera. There's plenty of other videos like that out there, but I do want to share what this camera does for me as a video shooter. First of all, it could shoot 6K video in an open gate format, which is pretty sweet. Something a lot of so-called cinema cameras can't even do. This allows me to use the entire sensor, shoot at a higher resolution, capture more information, and scale it to however I see fit. It shoots in f-log and it has a really solid dynamic range. It has good enough autofocus for my usage and really solid in-body stabilization. And that's pretty much all I'd ever want in a camera when it comes to being a one-person video shooter. But the real reason I opted for this camera specifically is the size. I mean, look at this thing. It's tiny. And the camera rigs I had before this setup were just much bigger. And with my style of shooting, I'm just constantly on the go, moving fast, traveling, doing chaotic things that just make having a really big, bulky rig really cumbersome when I just want to get a really quick shot. Even something the size of a full-frame DSLR just kind of gets in my way a lot of the time. I found myself just leaving my cameras at home more often because they were just too bulky and cumbersome to bring with me into certain scenarios. But I mean, this thing is tiny. I can strap it to my side and pretty much take it anywhere I need to go. It fits in any bag or on any mount, and it packs more of a punch image-wise than any of my previous cameras. This thing has been a godsend, and I don't just mean practically shooting with it on the go, being inconspicuous, but the image, the format, the flexibility I have with it in post-production. And while I love the tiny form factor of this thing, it's not always ideal when it comes to bigger productions. Sometimes you need more weight for stability. Sometimes you want a top handle, a monitor, a bigger battery. And I hate that this is the way things are, but if you're charging hundreds or thousands of dollars for a shoot and you show up to set with this little thing, you'll probably get laughed away. But the beauty of starting with a small base like this is you can build it up. Here's how I built out my rig for more serious projects that require a little more from just what this little camera has to offer. And honestly, I was timid to rig out a tiny camera with all these different attachments and cables and whatnot. But so far, it's been working phenomenally for me, and I'm actually shooting with it right now. But of course, no camera's perfect. It would be nice to have dual SD card slots, sure. A full-size HDMI port, of course. Get rid of these stupid flappy strap mounts for something more secure. Absolutely. It's not weather sealed, and people online have complained that it can overheat pretty easily, but I haven't really ran into any issues so far. But luckily, if you're not a fan of all those downsides, they're actually all fixed with the older brother of this camera, the XH2S. But honestly, none of those things were deal breakers for me. And it was more important for me to find a form factor this small than have all those other extra features. So yeah, this is my new go-to camera, and I take it with me everywhere. And honestly, I just feel so strongly about it that I wanted to share with other people who wanted something small and mighty and portable, but without sacrificing the beautiful cinematic qualities of much bigger cameras. But yeah, that's it. I just love this tiny little 6K beast of a travel camera, and I hope to get a ton more use out of it. Thanks.